But you do hear a lot of people getting hung up on not relaunching their product because they think it has to be absolutely perfect. To me, it doesn't. And just everything's going to get better. Your marketing's going to get better. The commercial doesn't have to be perfect. The photos don't have to be perfect. Just see, get a sense, and just do it.
Listen, just do
Just
it.
do your idea.
Yes.
Yeah, don't wait.
Oh my gosh.
You're hemming
Yeah.
and hawing. Just do it.
Yeah.
Not much to lose out there. What's the biggest deal in the world? You learn when you lose.
There
So
you go.
if worst comes to worst, you learn so much about some other industry and it didn't work. This is not going to be your only idea. You're going to come up with 30 more ideas.
How do you turn a personal frustration into a $75 million brand without any experience in the industry? That is exactly what our guest has done. Justin Baer is a software entrepreneur with zero background in fashion prior to launching Collars & Co. And he actually launched it with one idea to create a better dress shirt. And that idea exploded, landing him on Shark Tank and actually landing him a deal and placing him and his company in the top 5% of all Shark Tank success stories. And in just 3 years, he built a quiet luxury menswear brand that redefined how professionals dress. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how he innovated and just the importance of listening and taking action, how that can lead to massive transformation and the transformation of an industry. So Justin, welcome. We're glad to have you here today.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure. So when we were talking right in the beginning, you mentioned that there was a TikTok video that you and your daughter did, and that kind of like kicked things off. So tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. So I had this idea of where kind of what I'm wearing right now, which is a sweater over a dress shirt or the look of one. And I lived in New York for 12 years, and this is like the Midtown uniform. And I love the look, but I hated wearing a long sleeve dress shirt under a sweater. It's just like very uncomfortable. It gets hot, like pulling the sleeves down. If anybody knows that
Yep.
struggle, like pulling it down and over your elbow, was annoying. It also doesn't feel as comfortable on your body. And also, I didn't want to dry clean shirts every time. Take all these shirts in New York City and walk them down to the dry cleaner. I just wanted to wear a t-shirt under my sweaters, but that doesn't give you that elevated look because you need that collar to kind of make it pop. So I kind of sat on this idea for a while, and it was during COVID, and I was always coming up with ideas ever since I'm a kid. Always, that's like a hobby. It's like my wife's like, "Oh my God, you have another idea?" I'm like, "Well, this one I'm thinking about doing." So, and it wasn't my first COVID idea. It was my second COVID idea while we're just kind of sitting around at the house. And I was like, I'm going to do this, see what I can do. And it took me about 6 months or so, maybe 8 months to find a factory that could get me, the right prototype. And then I just made 300 of them, made a Shopify store, learned everything I could about creating like a Shopify e-commerce site. I was running a software business at the time. And then it was just me in front of my like white walls in my house. I put up this Shopify site, and then we got 300 of these shirts. My 7-year-old daughter at the time, was like very into dance. So at the time, this was like 4 years ago, TikTok was very much a dance platform. And she's like, "Dad, you got to do a TikTok video." I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not going to do a dance." She's like, "No, you go in your closet." So she held up the phone, and I was like, "Guys, don't you wearing dress shirts? They suck. They're hot. They're this. Check out one of these dress collar polos." So basically, it's a polo shirt, but we put like a really firm collar on it, as you can kind of see, and
Okay.
it gives you that dress shirt look.
Yeah.
And we sat down for watch Netflix that night, my wife, and when you get a sale on your phone, it goes like ka-ching. And we were just watching, and all of a sudden, people started buying it from the video, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" And
Wow.
that first month, we did $40,000 in sales on one
Wow.
white shirt. Yeah, one white polo.
That's
We
wild.
sold out, and then I had to tell customers, we forgot, then we sold out. They're coming, and it was pretty wild. But yeah, that was the start.
Wow. It's funny because people will hear that story, and even I hear that story, and I think, well, it's kind of like the Cinderella story. It's like just TikTok video, and
Yeah.
boom, 40,000 in the first month, and off we go. But like you said, it wasn't your first idea, so maybe let's go back before we go forward to literally go back. And what was your, how many did you have a lot of failure before that? It didn't. Please tell us that it wasn't just your first shot,
No,
and
no.
out of
This
the
is like the
ballpark.
50th business idea
Okay, yeah,
that's happened to work. You're not seeing the other 48 that didn't work.
and that's the
Um,
key, because a lot of times people think, oh, it's just so easy for them. You don't understand my situation, but there's more to the story. So tell us a little bit about that.
exactly. And I would say my personal cadence with business ideas was, let me see how fast I can make them fail to see if they're worth spending time on. Right. So like I made
That's
300.
good.
Okay. I don't know, maybe it was like $5,000. All right. I'll try it. It was fun. I learned so much. That's like my
Yeah.
favorite part, learning more about this like new business and new industry, and which in a way can help you, being naive about certain things. So yeah, I've had so many different ideas that didn't work out. And I don't even remember them because I would just like take them to where I could get. And hey, I'd make some cold calls. And if I couldn't get any sales, I'd be like, all right, off to the next idea. But the trajectory of my career has always been coming up with business ideas. So in college, I had a cause related marketing business. It was actually like a loyalty card that worked in multiple retailers. We signed up with Evelyn Lauder's Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Anyway, it got into over 1,000 doors nationwide and raised over $2 million for the foundation, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So it was like my first hit. And then, let's see, after that, I had a college. Let's see, before that, actually, I would say during that, I had like a college help, like how a college crossroads, where it was like helping college students. I did a DVD where I helped college students kind of navigate college and get A's. You know, it's how like work harder, work smarter, not harder. I did something like that. And then worked at a private equity firm in Baltimore for a little bit and came back to the city. And this is actually kind of neat. People like young professionals in New York were starting to go to these charity events. And there was every weekend, it was like, hey, let's go to an open bar charity event. Money goes to the charity. It's better than a bar. It's awesome.
Nice.
But it's like, where's the next one? I'm like, well, there isn't really like a calendar. So basically, I created this master calendar of nonprofit events. Okay, just on the side. I was working on the side just for fun. Then that turned into, well, all these nonprofit events now across the country are coming to my website and posting when their breast cancer gala is going. Why don't we do like Eventbrite for them, like ticketing? Like, let's do charity happenings ticketing. So then started doing that. Then Eventbrite had ticketless check-in, so iPad check-in. This was back when the iPad 2 just came out, but their check-in only worked for their events. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make iPad check-in, but I'm going to do it for anybody with an Excel file because I think there's events all happening all around the country, especially in New York where I was, that it's not a ticketed event. It's just like, hey, we've got 100 people coming to this art gallery opening. And the old days, you'd have a stapled pad and you'd flip over and what's your name? Okay, Nicole, and you cross that end. So I was kind of dragging my feet on it a little bit. And then this guy called, another event planner in New York City, and he said, hey, I've got this client. I need to do iPad check-in. Do you know anybody doing it? That's what they're requesting. I was like, well, I'm kind of working on something and I'm kind of dragging my feet, but it's like, who's the client? He said, it's Google for their holiday party. I said, I'll have ours right away. I'll have ours done. So I basically rushed these engineers in India to make this iPad check-in app. It's called Check-in Easy. That was the first event we ever did. They wanted 10 iPads. They wanted them outdoors. And this is back, 10 years ago when Wi-Fi wasn't great outside. They rented out the entire New York City Public Library. There was 2,200 people. I hired a videographer to video it while we're doing it. And I remember telling the volunteers, I'm like, look, they're going to have a boarding pass, just like you do when you get to the plane. You put the little iPad over it and you go beep, whether it beeps or not, you just say, thank you so much. Welcome. And from that, then Smithsonian called and Guggenheim Museum, like all these large event planners that came to that Google event saw that. And then that's what started this app called Check-in Easy, and ended up selling it probably about 6 years ago to a company out in San Francisco. But wow. So anyway, you can kind of see how everything's kind of pivoting. And
well, and I think what you said there about seeing how fast you can make it fail, because I think so often entrepreneurs are afraid to fail. And so it's like we are, getting ready to get ready to do it right and to make sure that it's successful. And you actually took the reverse approach, and that just allowed you to give it a shot and not be too attached to the outcome. And as a result of that, your creativity, your innovation, all of that, and the ability to pivot and listen to what, customers want, I think is gold right there. Yeah.
I mean, look, I hear it all the time. I hear it on other podcasts, even just friends that have businesses where I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? I'm like, oh, well, it's still not perfect. The product's still not right. I don't want to launch it yet. And I don't know if that's an insecurity that they think potentially ultimately this big grand idea might not work, that they feel like they need to make the screw black or silver as if that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a difference. The shirt that we launched 4 years ago is nothing like the shirt we have now. We've made it 10 times better. It's a phenomenal, better product. But I didn't want to wait 3 years to create a product. I just wanted to see if it would sell. I wanted a minimal viable product.
Yes.
See if it can sell. If it sells, great. If that's the hardest part. If you can find product market fit, and you find something that sells, it's all about sales.
Right.
I can have the best product in the world. If you can't sell it, it's not worth anything.
Right.
So so I just wanted to see, can it sell? And I was like, oh, it can sell. We can scale ads against it. This is amazing. Let's spend a ton of money and time and making the product so much better, which we did.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of but you do hear a lot of people getting hung up on not relaunching their product because they think it has to be absolutely perfect. To me, it doesn't. And just everything's going to get better. Your marketing's going to get better. The commercial doesn't have to be perfect. The photos don't have to be perfect. Just get a sense. and then you can
Yeah.
really pour some gasoline on it.
Well, it's like Richard Branson says, "Screw it, let's do it." It's kind of a little bit
Right.
like it makes him sound like he's so cavalier about it, and he's not. He's strategic though, in the way that he's like, "I think this is a good idea. Let's just go with it. I have a gut instinct about it. Let's
Right.
give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, we move on."
Right.
I think that's like I said, if it's just that tweak, and that's a mindset. I think afraid of the opportunity, the idea failing, but there's also that inner fear of I'm going to fail. And what is that going to mean to me? And so I think that's a shift in mindset that's really important. So talk about Shark Tank. So you went on Shark Tank. We get to see this little clip, and you look like you're fighting with them, and you're not going to give in. And it's like, what is he crazy? This huge opportunity. But
right.
there's a behind the scenes to this, right? So tell us a little bit more about that, and just peel back the curtain there.
Exactly. You're in the tank for it was at least an hour and 15 minutes. And the producers are taking out, the best 8 minutes they can find. And they'll take it from what you said 40 minutes ago and bring it back. They'll take your face gestures, like you're at their discretion. This is about TV. Shark Tank. Yeah. Shark Tank is a show, first, second, and third, and you are on their show.
Yeah.
You're on their show. It's not about you. It's about making great television. And I think I remember when I watched the episode back, I'm like, gosh, I don't remember it being this intense. But they put music around it, and
sure,
they clip it. So it happened to be a great show, and they've aired it a bunch of times. We actually did an update on, like last time on Shark Tank, you did this. So we did that too. But it was very scary. I was there by myself. It was during COVID, so you had to go out several days before and make sure that you didn't test positive. And so you're just like freaked out completely, just like on the plane. And I was just like, oh my God, this is horrible. You're secluding yourself into a hotel room because you feel like that anxiety of feeling like you have this like $1 million lottery ticket in your hand, and you can't lose it. Like you just walk around like holding
one shot. Yeah.
It's like, one shot in your life. And I also didn't realize that there's no takes. I'm like, well, what happens if you like screw up your pitch? They're like, it's too bad. It's one shot. That's it. Wow. So you have to be prepared. And it was a good thing I memorized my script. I mean, I'd say it in the shower, I'd say it driving, because I didn't know what was coming out of my mouth as I was standing there. I mean, it just like words are coming out, and you're just looking at them, and the words are coming out. But it ended up being a great show. It looks a lot more intense than it really was. In fact, like some of the sharks were out. It seemed like everybody was right back in, even at the end there. And Mark's been awesome. This guy, Peter Jones, who's a guest shark that came in, have been really helpful. And, we're so glad we did it. A lot of times these deals don't close, which people don't realize. I think only like 30% actually close. A lot of times the entrepreneurs are lying, and the sharks want to do their own due diligence. But we closed. And the other thing people don't realize is you can go through that whole process. I mean, it took months and months, maybe 10 months of interviews, and lots of interviews. Just because you shoot the show doesn't mean they air it. Only 50% of the cohort. There was 8 people with me that day. Only 4. They all shot. We all filmed. Only 4 of us actually aired. So
if it's worthy
like
of
the
TV,
biggest
then
kick in the pants.
Wow.
Which is why you got to make sure the show is fun, and you got to, when they say I'll offer you $10,000, you don't just say, oh, that's great, let's do it, and hug it out. That's no fun. So you got to make it fun. And it was good. It was scary as heck, and it's like a once in a lifetime thing. And but we did it.
What has been the biggest pivot for you in working with Mark and the other gentleman as well? To like when you start working with them, and you're like, okay, you have certain expectation, what it's going to be like, and so what was that biggest pivot?
I always had pressure on myself. I really felt like we've got something here. We've kind of got the tiger by a tail. We're seeing just some good velocity. I think I want to do well. Like Mark has like 80 businesses. I think we're the last thing on his mind. But for me, it's like I want to prove to him that we're worthy of his time. And I really try and limit the number of texts I send him, only for something when I really need it. But when I do, he writes back in minutes. It's like really wild. Sick in a way. The guy must be on his phone all the time. But he responds in minutes. And so I want to do well for them. I want to show him like, hey, we're worthy of his time. And we were just actually listed in the Us Weekly, I don't know if it's 10 top best investments for because he just stopped filming the show. So they included us in there, which is really nice.
Well, you think about a man that's that busy. And I had another guest on my show, and he was talking about being on Shark Tank and did a deal with Mark, and
Yeah.
he said he averages like 800 emails a day, but he doesn't do meetings. And because meetings you just drag on and all
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
time gets consumed by it, but it's like send me a text message,
Yeah. Yeah.
800 texts I think it was, or and
No, I'm
maybe
sure.
text, maybe a combination of text and emails, and there's a lesson in that, for us to not to waste our time with a lot of
Right.
talking and a lot of like we think that we need to fill up, that's like more valuable if we, and it's more important if we have like an hour-long meeting, but not
Right.
necessarily. It's like you can get a yes or no and move quickly. So let's talk about Colors and Co. and where it is today. I mentioned, $75 million, where it is today, what you've been able to accomplish, and what we can learn about that from a standpoint of like really disrupting an industry. You disrupted an industry. And I'm sure you got some pushback on that, or people saying, oh, I don't think this is a good idea, or we hate your shirts, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like tell us a little bit about that journey, because I think there's probably a lot of lessons in there as well.
A great lesson. You just brought up some people might hate the shirts. So people would say like, oh, it's just a polo shirt. I don't think they would say they hate the shirts. It's just a polo shirt. I was like, no, you don't understand. Our polo shirt's got a really firm collar on it. You can wear it to the office. Like I'm wearing it with a sweater right now, but most people are wearing it just by itself. It's like an elevated polo that you can wear to the office, wear to golf,
It's really
wear it
nice.
under a blazer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something actually that On Cloud, you ever heard of those On Cloud shoes on running? It's like Roger Federer. It's got like weird bubble things under the shoes.
Yeah,
You've probably
yeah.
seen them. His On Cloud shoes. So it's interesting. The founders said that they knew they had a hit on their shoes. They went to this marathon and they had all these runners try on their shoes, which they thought were the best shoes. I mean, they're pretty ugly looking shoes, but now obviously they're like a giant $10 billion business. But they knew they had a hit on their hands when 50% of the people hated them and 50% of the people loved them. They knew they didn't have a hit when everything was like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. Because you can't create that excitement. If you can create excitement of people that are so in love with your shoe, with our shirt, it's different. They're going to be your ambassadors and talk about it. Oh my God, you got to try these shoes. They're insanely comfortable. That's what's happening. I think, that's a piece of it for our shirt, right? It's a little bit unique. It's a little bit different. But I think as people are seeing it, and they're seeing their friends now starting, they're like, oh, wait a minute, let me try this. Let me try this out. There's something inquiry there. But I think there's something there to it. The Red Bull founder said the same thing. They're like, well, this tastes terrible. He's like, I know. He supposedly he made Red Bull taste odd and a little bit medicinal on purpose. He could have easily just put a bunch of sugar in there or changed it.
Sure, but it's memorable.
But memorable. He wanted it to be. Love it or hate it. Everybody loves or hate. You want that because you're going to create this tribe of people that love your stuff, and that's what's going to fuel this thing. If everybody's like, it's okay. Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not saying you want to try and buy business if 50% of people hate, but I think it's a good concept.
Well, I think you go to the boundaries, right? Like of what's possible, the innovation, not worrying about trying to accommodate everybody. Was it Frank Kern, right? He's a big marketer. Frank Kern is like, I'd rather have like 20,000 people on my list that love me versus a million that are kind of lukewarm about me. And it's like, love me or hate me. And we see that in politics. We see that all over, and the impact of that. It's like, love me or hate me, but like in the middle, the lukewarm doesn't do anybody any good. Yeah.
Right. So I think our initial hero product, I mean, now we're into all kinds of products, knitwear, blazers, shoes, pants, but that first hero product, I think it had that kind of momentum where people loved it. They bought it in 20 different colors, and I'll take it in every one. I'd be getting emails from guys saying, I don't wear dress shirts anymore. And I think that's what really helped our, word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, it's good timing because, the pandemic, everything shifted. The way we do business shifted. People going to more casual, yet still wanting to look, presentable and all of that. And so I think it's fantastic. What do you think? Obviously, having Mark and the team, because he's got a whole team, I'm sure that is helping to scale. What do you think was the biggest thing that helped you to scale? So once you had the deal, right? Yeah. And we talk about how, quick Mark is with responding to everything, but ultimately from a tactical standpoint, what allowed you to scale quickly once you knew you had something and had that investment money that caused it to, because it was like only few years, right? And then it just like blew up.
A year and a half in, we did $5 million in sales. That's when we shot the show. Yeah. But we knew we had something when our ads were working. And not every business needs to have ads working. For us, digital ads work. You nailed it on the head, right? It was Zoomtopia. You're talking
Gosh.
2021,
Yeah.
right? Everyone's on Zoom.
Yeah.
And you know what? People just need to look good from the waist up.
Yeah.
And we gave them that way so that off their Zoom calls, they could take off their sweater and go play golf, go run in their backyard with their kids who are home from Zoom school, and
Yeah.
and then throw a sweater back on or throw a blazer on or just be it by itself. So timing wise, yeah, timing was perfect. And then moving out of Zoom, everyone got rid of their suits. Everything's business casual.
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs is no one wears ties anymore. So even lawyers, everyone's kind of wearing this look. They're wearing a quarter zip with a dress shirt underneath, so it kind of fit that. We kind of ran that wave, or rode that wave, and our knitwear business is awesome too. But yeah, I mean, I think that all helped.
So we've been kind
But
of
yeah, if we
talking.
get back to your question, it's the ads,
Yeah.
right?
It's the
It was our
ads.
ads.
Yeah.
The ads scaled like crazy. I mean, we spend over $1 million a month now on ads.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
Well,
we
if
didn't do
it's
that all the time, but
if
we
it's
were
worth it, then
yeah, if it's
it
worth
makes
it,
sense.
right?
Yeah.
Like if we
So
put
you
a
got to
dollar in and
test
get
the
$2
ads.
out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But and then you're constantly finding your inventory. You're like, okay, well, if we think it's going to work, you really have to risk that money to put more inventory in so that you could spend more money on ads and have the inventory to back it up and then continue this, this treadmill.
So what about you in terms of being the founder? Did you find a point where you felt like, I think I'm over my head on this? Like where was your ceiling, or have you even reached your ceiling yet? Because I think that slows down growth, right? As a leader,
It does.
is like,
It
they
does.
start to hold on, they start to have, maybe it's over control, trying to do everything themselves, or micromanaging, or just fear, and start self-sabotaging. It's happened a lot.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day, actually, specifically what you're talking about. This is the first business. So I had this other software company that was doing fairly well, created a nice living. I felt for this one, I was going to be gas on, nothing to lose, swing for the fences. I felt like I'm in a business. All my other businesses, they work. I would say they're like base hit doubles.
Mhm.
I didn't get many chances to hit a grand slam before. And I don't think many people get that. Like I was always been an entrepreneur, always wanted this chance. I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. If we swing and miss, at least we tried.
Mhm.
But for me, it was like gas on. Every dollar back. I never put money in never took any money on. It's
Mhm.
always back in. Let's buy more ads. How big can we get? And so that's how we're thinking about it. And so far it's paid off.
Mhm.
But that's how I kind of feel like I'm playing with house money in a weird way, which is
Mhm.
really bizarre. But I think we really have a chance to be that next great brand. I mean, I don't know. Seems like we have an opportunity to. I'm not saying we will, but we could. We're seeing that velocity and the momentum. So am I? We're larger than anything I ever expected. Getting it back to your question,
Yeah.
larger than expected. Uh, Hired more people than I've ever hired in my life. Managed people I've never done before, and learning every single day. It's a ton of fun. I'm completely obsessed with it. The amount of time and energy I think about this and work at it is obscene. It's everyone's like, well, is it a full-time job now? What about your others? Like, I'm like, the software company, I found somebody to run it. If this
Yeah.
is full-time, I said, I wish it was full-time. It's more than, it's like double time.
Yeah.
It's 2 full-time jobs, but I think that has helped us. I'm texting the team on the weekends, whatever it takes. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
we're 100% gas on,
Yeah.
and we'll see where it goes.
Well, and you said something there I think is important about reinvesting. A lot of times, like if you don't have a big vision on what is the potential of it, you can quickly start cashing out. It's kind of like you
Yeah.
go to the casino, you start winning, and you're like, "Ooh, got to take that now,
Yeah.
right? Take my wins now and start paying yourself."
Right.
Recently, I was looking at somebody's financials, and I'm like, management fees, and I'm going, "What? Like, how is it that
Right.
you're taking that much and your company isn't making money? Like, it doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
But that speaks to the mindset and the focus of the leader that is pulling money out too fast and starving the business ultimately.
Yeah.
And whereas you're talking about reinvest, I got my income coming from other sources until that business can get to the point where it can support you without taking away from the business. It's funny because I learned from one of my mentors years ago, and I teach this. It's like the 6 phases of a business. And when you're kind of in that, normal operations, positive cash flow, it's like, okay, it's good, right? We went through the chaos and now we're like, this is what's making money. And then we get to that place of, abundance. That's the place where you can start paying off debt, reinvesting and expanding in different markets,
Right.
but don't do it too soon because then you dilute it and you actually starve the business. So often that's what happens is that, I was talking to a business, very successful business person that we were speaking at the same event, and I was sharing this model, and he came up to me after. He's like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I just did, and now I'm losing X amount per month versus making this much." And so, again, mindset is such an important piece in that. So the long game, you were playing the long game.
I'm
Like you
playing the
said,
long
like
game for sure.
I want
The
to
money's
hit
going
the
to come
home
on
run.
some exit. That's
Yes,
really what's going to come for
yes,
us. That's not every business. Some business are lifestyle businesses. You have to run them differently. Um, I think where we're in our space, that's kind of where the giant check's going to come at the end when we create this really great brand.
yeah,
And the idea is, okay, it's going to take money. It's going to take failing. We're going to have to take risks. We're going to have to try different things, whether that's marketing, product,
yeah.
you name it. And, for us, it's about speed.
So what do you think you need to do from here differently, or maybe it's the same, and just continue the same that you need to do to, like you said, create that really great brand? Because a lot of people would say you have a really great brand already, but for you to get from here to that exit, what's
Yeah,
going to be
we're
the
trying
most
to open up
important?
different channels to
Okay.
sell.
Mm-hmm.
Digital D2C is our main channel. We also have 3 retail stores in Chicago, Boca, and King of Prussia. So I think that's a channel for sure.
Okay.
Wholesale, I think, is a giant channel we haven't really tapped yet. Our customers are a little bit older, 30 years, 30 plus. So
Mm-hmm.
they're probably 50% of customers are not online, at least buying. They're still buying in person.
Right.
So how can we reach that customer? And it's still developing awesome killer products
Mm-hmm.
and new ones too. So we came up with a blazer and we made it so that you could scrunch it up into a ball and pull it out. And it's got tons of stretch and it's got a built-in pocket square and it's got the sunglass loop. So it's like coming up with these other products that we can put
Mm.
massive ad dollars behind. In addition to our core piece, which is our polo, we came up with an Apex dress shirt where we partnered with the Air McLaren IndyCar team.
Nice.
And it's this awesome dress shirt. It's stretchy, but it has the reinforced collar and it has like a cool fiber technology. So it feels cool in your body. So it's really expanding out into these other, I guess, businesses. And
Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
us, it's just getting the word out there and having more and more guys try it. And
Got tickets to the races? No.
yeah, we have
I'd
a
be,
guys
I'd be
going.
like,
That's
sign
this
me up.
weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend's
That's,
Indy. So we'll be
that's
there.
awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. That's great. So what have we not talked about? I know you and I talked a little bit about the importance of listening to your market. So, maybe talk about that and anything else that we didn't talk about that might be important for an entrepreneur, a leader, aspiring leader of transformation who is saying, like, I have an idea and I really believe that it's got some legs.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's being open to um, pivoting and listening to your customers really intently. So for Collars and Co, sure, we are doing customer surveys. We're calling customers. Why did you buy us? What do you do for a living? What do you want? But there's an interesting story for the software company that I actually have, which is I had this idea for clubs, like golf and country clubs, to do a online etiquette course. This is like something at my golf club. They're making everybody like come into the ballroom. They had to do this like 50 times and explain to people how to fix your divots and how to rake your traps. I was like, David, who's the director of golf, like, David, this is insane. Put this online so that everybody in the club can just take it at their office or at home. He's like, okay, but I don't know how to do it. So I was like, I'm going to do it for you. Anyway, created this thing, put it together. I'm like, maybe there's like a little business in here. So I called down the list, literally cold called, and I called Arizona Country Club because it was on this like group of clubs. Spoke to this guy. His name's David Stocky, still a good friend of mine now. And I told him the idea, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm like, well, what other problems are you having? And he's like, well, people aren't reading our emails. We'd love to be able to text them. Like, you want to be able to like text the members? He's like, yeah, when we have a course closure or Mother's Day brunch, we send out emails. No one reads emails anymore. Everyone's so busy. It's going to junk. I'm like, well, so you need like a texting platform? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, give me like 2 weeks. Call him back in 2 weeks. I found some business, some other company that had texting. I relicensed it, called it Member Text, called him back and said, David, I've got it. It's called Member Text. We've got texting. He's like, great, I'll sign up. $300 a month. Boom. That was it. Now we've got 600 clubs around the country doing
Wow.
texting. I don't even do that. That's the other business. That's the software business.
Yeah.
It's like being able to be open-minded, really listen to your customers. What problems are you having and can you solve them for them?
And
So
move
like if I was like
fast.
so obsessed
Yeah.
about this idea
Yeah.
about the etiquette course, some people would be like, oh, that's an interesting idea, but I'm really gung-ho about this etiquette thing. I'm like, no, well, maybe this other thing. Sounds like he sounds really passionate about texting his members. I'll create this member text thing. And so that pivoted into member text, which, is a good kind of growing concern. And then so kind of if you think about the other thing too, which was the check-in app, right? I was doing ticketing, just kind of being okay. Then this guy said, oh, I've got this Google holiday party. That worked. And then that sparked the fire. being able to like pivot, really listen to the customers, try and find that angle. Where is the pain that you can solve for people? And just be open-minded to it. You're not like falling in love with your main idea in a way. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and what I heard in that too, it's like moving fast and saying yes,
Right.
and just, like taking action, like quickly, not overthinking it and being like, okay,
Yeah.
what do I need? And not being so, isolated in the sense that it's like, I have to come up with this new idea, but you went out, you figured out who had it, relicensed it, and here we go. Right.
Yeah.
Rather than I've got to come up with something new and, slick and so forth. Yeah, that's interesting. I started my business when I was in my teens, and I had a client once who said, I was selling one thing. I was selling these incentive booklets, you could pick your own gift and everything. And they were like, it was Volvo. And they're like, yeah, it's cool and everything, but we kind of like baskets. And I'm dating myself, but this is way back when baskets weren't yet a thing, but they had started hearing about it. And they're like, do you do baskets? We need hundreds of baskets. And I'm like,
right.
Absolutely. Of course we do baskets.
Right.
Then I got my car. I'm like, the heck am I going to find baskets?
Right.
And sure enough, found the baskets, resold them. And, and I was like, I'm now in the basket business, apparently.
Exactly.
But then scaling that, and doing that on a bigger scale. So, which is what you've done. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you were going to say something.
No. Well, I was going to say just about speed, where some people could have said, oh, you know what? I need my own texting platform. Let me go spend a year and a half trying to find developers. Like, no, dude, just go license someone else, rewrap it, and see if it sells. If you can get Arizona Country Club, then can you get the Biltmore Country Club? Once you get Biltmore, and then once you get 100 customers, then you know what? You'll build your own, and you'll be building it while you're running, and you'll move everybody over.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just like get speed, find the sales, grind. It's all about this. For me, it's like anybody comes to an idea like, all right, well, let's see if it can sell. You can have the greatest idea. No, my wife's seeing what we're doing, and she's like, "Oh, that looks easy. Let me do a teen dress brand." I'm like, "Okay, let's do a teen dress brand." She has some cool ideas. It's a limited market. There's not many people doing it. I was like, "Okay, well, make the dresses." And then she's like, "Yeah, but I'm going to do ads, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do any of that stuff. We're going to go to the local place in town. I'm going to bring the dresses. I'm going to say, please take these dresses on consignment. Don't pay me anything. Just hang them up. If they sell, we'll know we have something, and you'll do that to 10 accounts for free. Right when they say it, they'll buy. We'll pay them. They'll pay us as they sell them. Let's see if it can sell first." And sure enough, they're selling, and maybe we will do direct to consumer. But right now, she's getting wholesale accounts. Now she's not doing them for free anymore. She's not doing them consignment. So
nice. So I think there's thinking big, but also then at the same time thinking small. So thinking, like you said, Arizona. Call the Arizona Country Club, Biltmore. Like, you're not talking about the little golf course down the street. You're saying like, hey, let's give it a shot. Like, let's at least shoot for the fence and see if we have something there. And on the flip side, then with your wife, knowing what is going to make the most sense, with your wife saying, okay, let's just go down the street to the local store, try it out, and then we go from there. Yeah.
If we know it can sell, we'll make the product better.
Yeah.
We'll then do it. We'll do so much better. I think I was like, these dresses are good enough to sell. Let's see if they sell. We like them. I think, I'm like, she's asking her friends. I'm like, of course your friends are going to say they like them. My daughter, she's 11. Of course she's going to like them, but let's put them in the store. Don't tell your friends to go buy them and see if they'll sell on their own. And if they do, then you've got something. Okay. Then we've got a little momentum to move forward. So
that's great. Well, Justin, thank you so much. I think there's so much gold in this, and for entrepreneurs, business leaders, people that are really aspiring to grow and to move fast, but do it with wisdom. I think so. The thinking big and also thinking small at the same time is what I'm hearing in it. So
and just do it.
Just do it.
Do your idea.
Yes.
You don't wait.
Oh my gosh.
You're hemming and hawing. Just do it.
Yeah. That's a lesson.
There's not much to lose out there. There's not much to lose out there. What's the biggest deal in the world? You learn when you lose. So
there you go.
If worst comes to worst, you learn so much about some other industry and it didn't work. This is not going to be your only idea. You're going to come up with 30 more ideas.
Yeah. You learn when you lose. That's so good. Well, we're going to make sure, of course, everybody can find you online, collarsandco.com. You're also, of course, selling online. Where can they find the shirts? Maybe.
Yeah, collarsandco.com. That's great. That's great. You can check us out on Instagram. We got some cool fun stuff on there too.
Instagram. Yeah.
Behind the scenes. But collarsandco.com. I think we're Collars and Co Clothing on Instagram and TikTok.
Okay. Yeah.
You can go back and watch that horrible first video that
there you go.
It's totally cringeworthy now. But we left it on there.
Yeah. Well, it was a launching pad. So that's awesome. Well, Justin, thank you so much. And I always say, it was a pleasure having you. And it's just a fun conversation. I love having these kind of conversations. So that entrepreneurial mindset of mine, I'm challenging myself right now. And I'm like, okay, where am I overthinking it? Where am I not doing it? And just screw it. Let's do it. Let's give it a shot. And where can, do that better. And I think sometimes like people are really smart. Like my husband's really smart and comes up with a lot of ideas. Sometimes super intelligent people, we overthink things. I had a mentor years ago and he said, Nicole, you just think too much.
Right.
It was like,
but you can overanalyze anything.
Sure. Yeah. So, so good. But I always say leaders of transformation take action. Speaking of which, so I'm going to encourage you for all our listeners and viewers to go to colorsandco.com. Check out these shirts. They're beautiful, really nice shirts. And of course, they have so many more offerings as well, different, jackets and all that kind of stuff. And so go check that out. And go check out that video. Even the Shark Tank, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It is excellent. Definitely worth watching and studying. And so we just encourage you to take action on something. Like if you have an idea and you've been sitting on it for a while and you're like, this is going to be that next big deal, well, give it a shot and see. Don't be so attached to it that you hold it like your baby and just wait. Because what will happen is if it's such a great idea, somebody else is going to figure it out and come up with it and do it. And you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I would have done something. So do it, right? You learn when you what is it? What did you say? You learn when you lose?
Learn when you lose, right? You make a mistake, then you learn from that.
There you go.
You're not going to learn anything if everything's going great.
That's right. So learn fast and so we'd love to hear your stories. You can go on leadersoftransformation.com and we'd love to hear how this has impacted you, what you're working on. If we can support you, let us know. Obviously, we provide, I mentioned at the beginning, the coaching and support that we provide. We definitely can support you along the way as well. And of course, Justin has such brilliant insights. And so check out what he's doing and follow him and model what they're doing. That's a great way of learning and growing fast too, is model yourself after somebody else who's done it and done it well. Yeah. So, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.